Welcome back. Donald Trump, the wild card. Both sides are leery of. Just how far will the political establishment go to sabotage him? As the GOP looks at every possible which way to roadblock the nomination, no one is talking about the only man who reasonably can defeat Trump, Ted Cruz. Every day you hear about another attempt to try and remove this man from where he's at.
And it's getting more vociferous.
They have spent $520 million trying to get Jeb Bush, Marco Rubio, on every one of their candidates, their establishment candidates, and a lot of it has to do with illegal immigration, I'm sad to say, but it's the truth. That's the sticking point for a lot of people.
Well, the whole thing was based on having the guys who follow the party line as dictated by the establishment.
So if these guys, Trump and Cruz, go into this convention with overwhelming amount of delegates, enough to preserve the nomination, how far will the GOP actually go to try and sabotage them?
No, they don't think that it's going to be a combination. They think they hate each other so much
that they both fall short of 1237.
Yeah.
And then you get into the convention, they start doing these second and third and fourth ballot deals where they try to get
but which has happened before in history.
Yes.
This is not new.
No, 1976, Gerald Ford and Ronald Reagan went through it.
You can go back to 1952, where Eisenhower was brought in to take over where Taft had already won.
But you didn't have a popular movement like this that the people were behind.
No, and you didn't have the communication system.
Right. They were all done in smoke-filled rooms.
Smoke-filled lobbies.
You never had this kind of outward understanding. No. The American people are onto these guys now. And the fact that Charlie Rangel came out and said, we need a strong Republican Party in order to keep the two-party system, that tells me everything I need to know that these guys are in bed with each other.
Oh, well, they are afraid that if the Republicans break up, so will the Democrats.
And if Trump gets in, or Cruz, they could possibly break up the whole game and get on and take shots at both sides. The boys' club will never be the same again.
I think you'll have a very unitary, I won't use the term dictatorship, but you'll have something pretty close to it where if a guy like Trump gets in, I can tell you it's not going to be a game to be played. I mean, he's going to have an iron fist in the way he gets things done.
Do you think that the Republican establishment will go as far as to endorse, promote, support, and help Hillary Clinton if it's Trump?
No.
You don't?
No, I don't.
You don't think the Lindsey Grahams, John McCain's, Susan Collinses?
No, because that's like committing suicide.
I understand that.
No.
Lindsey Graham came out just the other day and said that he'd rather lose the election than lose the heart and soul of the Republican Party.
That's show business. That's all that is. No, they don't. They go down the tubes because they're nobodies. If that happened, then
that's why they don't want Trump.
Yeah, but that's why they also want something short of Trump. But they don't realize what they're playing with, and that's why they're so frustrated. They all thought Jeb Bush was going to be automatic. They gave him $100 million to play around with, and he spent it, and nothing happened.
And they had Christie, and they didn't
Rubio. Well, they didn't expect the fact that they were 20% of the Democrats are just as angry as the Republicans. They didn't expect that there were going to be people in the Republican Party who were going to be much more active than they were. They didn't expect, the biggest thing they didn't expect was that the Christian evangelists were going to line up behind Trump. That was a big
I don't think the Republican Party expected to have their complete shadow game ripped down in front of them and being exposed for the frauds that they are.
That's right, especially after they put all the effort into this.
Gotta have the House. Gotta have the Senate.
Yeah, the House, Senate, and even they usurped the Tea Party, and the Tea Party was, unfortunately, didn't have any leadership, so they went right along with it.
And this is the Tea Party. What you're seeing right now is the remnants of the Tea Party striking back at the Republican establishment.
But you've got a Tea Party with teeth. You don't just have a Tea Party with ideas. You have a Tea Party that has a whip hand on things.
So you got to feel that the Republicans are scared of Trump. The Democrats are scared of Trump. He could completely change the whole game.
The establishment of the
political elites.
Well, you've got the Hillary lights, I call it. That's the Democratic Party. Because they don't have anybody else. It's amazing. Of all the people in the Democratic Party, their
bench is zero.
Bench was zero.
Yeah.
So they got a corrupt woman who probably should be facing a jail sentence, and that's the best they got. So the Democrats are weak. The Democrats are rooting for the Republicans to break up because that way it'll make them look a little better.
I have a feeling that these guys will go to any length to stop Trump from winning the presidency, and I really do believe that they are going to back Hillary Clinton.
Well, it's incumbent to Trump to say, okay, I've really gotten everybody's attention now. Now I'm going to. I don't mean presidential. That's a zero term. I'm going to act like a leader, and I'm not going to argue about anybody. I'm going to talk issues, and I'm going to talk issues and what I will do if I get in. And I think that'll be the winning game if he plays it.
Now, we've seen this road before, going back to the Democrat convention in 1968.
Unbelievable. I'll make it short, but there were a combination of circumstances that were unbelievable. Lyndon Baines Johnson got us into the Vietnam War. It was the worst thing it ever had. Democrat. He did two things. He gave us guns and butter. He put 500,000 American troops. Remember, in those days we still had the draft. 500,000 troops, 10% of which were killed in that war. And at the same time, he came up with all kind of social programs. Some good, but mostly very expensive. And then what happened, a fellow by the name of Gene McCarthy, that you, with your knowledge, forgot about or hadn't heard about.
I thought you were referencing Joe McCarthy.
No, the last name was McCarthy, but he won 3 primaries. Johnson was going to run for a full second term, but when he found that he was defeated in 3 primaries by this senator from Minnesota, he figured he'd walk out while he still had some sense of capability. And on March 30th, 1968, he came out with an unbelievable announcement that I will not run again. And then the Democrats went up, they went crazy. I mean, what they're going to do. So they decided there was Bobby Kennedy was the guy that they were
next in line.
Well, not only that, he probably would have challenged Johnson. So it seemed automatic, and he was assassinated by this Arab Sirhan. And in the meantime, also what further caused a problem was Martin Luther King was assassinated just about at the same time. It was a terrible time. Then they had the convention in Chicago. They had a riot like nothing we've seen since. The police were actually shooting people in order to keep them in line in Chicago.
So the lesson learned here is stay the heck out of Chicago.
Probably on that basis, yes. But then Nixon, who had been defeated as governor of California, they thought he was finished. And remember he made the statement, well, now you don't have Nixon to kick around anymore. They gave him a booby prize of being the nominee of the Republican Party. And guess what? He won because the Democrats fell apart.
So you see a parallel happening today?
Well, not specifically, but I see a number of circumstances which are getting out of control, and you never know where it's going to lead to. Like nobody ever believed that you were going to have anything but another term for Lyndon Baines Johnson. And then things started to get out of hand, and things went totally out of control.
Does Hillary get indicted? Yes or no?
No, because she'll be exonerated by Obama.
That wraps up another edition of the World Report television program. If you want to see the show again, catch a segment that you missed, just go to YouTube and search Morris Beschloss. If you'd like to email a question or video, send it to theworldreport.org. Excuse me, that's Maury@theworldreport.org. For Maury Beschloss, all those fantastic folks in the United States Armed Forces, police, firefighters, and all of those who go to work each and every day to help keep us safe, I'm Scott Crowfoot. God willing, we'll see each other again.